Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope you're well. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. If you're returning, thank you for returning. I really appreciate you coming back. Please hit that thumbs up for me and replayers, hit comment for me. That way we can get more viewers into the live and chat with us. So today we're going to talk about this teacher, this fourth grade teacher who is charged with having sexual relations with a 12-year-old child. I covered this when it first came out. She was charged, arrested, bonded out on $25,000, I believe $25,000 bond. A couple of weeks later, she got rearrested for breaking her bond uh, rules, whatever you call it. She contacted the 12-year-old, threatening him, going to the authorities, and she got rearrested. So let's see what's going on with her. Is she having a baby? Is this 12-year-old going to be a dad?
A Tennessee teacher charged with raping her underage student is now allegedly pregnant with a 12-year-old's unborn child. For the first time, we're hearing her side of the story straight from her defense attorney. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sierra Gillespie. Now, it's a story Law and Crime Network has been following since it broke in early September. That's when 38-year-old Alissa McCommon was arrested for the first time after prosecutors say she raped one of her former students in her own home. Investigators say McCommon, who taught school in Covington.
I think it's been like a little over a month since this happened, and look at all the problems that they've had with her already. She's really something else. Please tell me this is not going to be another Letitia. Not really, because she didn't unalive anyone, but just the teacher aspect and being a horrible, evil person.
In Tennessee, about an hour northeast of Memphis, used video games to contact her former students outside of school. After that, officials say the conversations spilled over into social media apps, which led to explicit photos being sent. In late August, Tennessee investigators were tipped off about the issue when the 12-year-old victim's parents came forward. Since then, multiple of McCommon's former students
I wonder how them parents feel now that she's claimed to be pregnant.
have also made similar allegations. As Long Crime Network reported, McCommon was released on $25,000 bond after her first arrest. But just weeks later, she was back in the Tipton County Jail after she allegedly contacted one of her victims.
I will never text you again. You will never hear from me again. Just please don't say anything. I'm under so much stress and I'm so scared all the time.
Investigators say prior to
Under so much stress and you're scared of time. How do you think those parents feel? How do you think that child feels that will now have to probably go through therapy because you've ruined his innocence? How do you think those parents feel? Stressed and scared? I do believe so. Your feelings come last compared to the victims and the victims' families because they are so young.
either of McCommon's arrests, she used a code word to communicate with students. They say the special word was used to ensure the victim was alone at the time, and after that, prosecutors say McCommon would send explicit photos to the students. They also say she used that.
How does one adult do that? These parents trust you with their children to educate their children, to keep their children safe and protect them while at school. And this is what you do. Um, School extracurricular activities, ma'am.
that same code word while out in bond last month to message the boy with threatening comments, saying he would regret going to the authorities. After her second arrest on September 28th, prosecutors alleged she used that code word again. For that, she was charged with harassment, coercion of a witness, and stalking. This time, she's being held without bond. But days after her arrest, this shocking voice recording was played in open court, alleging McCommon is now pregnant with the 12-year-old boy's child.
I'm trying to tell you when it comes out. I'm looking like you. We don't have to talk anymore. Just please, God, tell me you're not going to say anything. I'll never speak to you again.
We've heard from prosecutors and investigators, but for the first time, we're hearing McCommon's side of the story straight from her defense attorney, Jerry Mason. Jerry, thank you so much.
Here we go, the defense attorney's lies. I can't believe the defenses these defendants have. Let's see. This time it will be, let me guess. What do y'all think? Mental health? Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start at the very top. Your client maintains her innocence.
Yes, she was accused. Obviously, I guess we're working on 6 weeks or so ago of a very serious offense, and she denies her guilt in that charge, and then also
She denies admitting it. Boy, I just hate when they do that. Like Chad Thorman. Oh, yes, I did it. Go to court. I'm not guilty. I'm innocent. Dude, you just said you did it. How are you innocent now? They all do it.
maintains her innocence on the follow-up charges that she acquired while on bond.
So this is a story at Long Crime we've been covering since it first broke in early September, but we've had multiple follow-up stories because more developments continue to come. The most recent involves a voice recording that was played in court with an alleged bombshell, a pregnancy bombshell. What do you have to say about that recording?
Well, I mean, my focus is on what was actually presented in court, and I think it's important for everyone to understand that this was not a trial. This was a bond revocation hearing. The judge only had to hear enough evidence, in the judge's opinion, to rise to probable cause, which is a very low burden of proof, to decide whether she would reinstate the original bond or set a new bond. And she felt there was at least enough probable cause to hold Miss McCommon with no bond.
I guess so. Only a couple of weeks after she posted bail, she contacted the victim. What do you think? Do you think that should have been revocated?
Bond at the moment. So she did revoke the bond. As far as the recording that was played, the only verification that they had that was Miss McCommon was a detective who admitted that he had only spoke with her very briefly several weeks ago. The voice was very agitated on there, so I assume when he spoke with her, she wasn't. I just think that it was limited evidence.
She was out of her mind. She didn't know what she was saying, sir. I don't know. She's innocent. She has PTSD and ADHD and BPD and bipolar and ABCFG. That's why she's innocent.
Evidence presented that it was her. Now, that's not to say it was or wasn't her. I don't know. I mean, it's just what the proof is going to show. And they didn't present a victim, alleged victim or anything. They just had the detective testify that was her voice. That was literally the only proof that was from her. And they had text messages also, but neither the text number or the voice call number is registered anywhere. So they had no record of where the phone number ties to, who it's tied to, and they still don't have the phone. So, I mean,
You don't have the phone, but you have the text messages, but you don't know who the number belongs to. Gotcha.
I understand the judge's position, but it was limited proof on it actually being Miss McCommon.
I was going to ask about that number that was not registered. That's kind of interesting, something I haven't seen very much. So, what do we do moving forward with that? Is that something that the defense is going to try to combat and say, okay, we looked it up, it is not McCommon's phone number? What are the next steps there?
Well, I don't know that there's much we will do on that end. At this point, it's the burden is all on the state. It's what they present, and I know that they're trying to locate this phone. I talked to one of the detectives, and
I love Lady Justice, you guys.
I don't think the phone was on, but they said there was some way they could maybe trace where the phone was. I'm not sure how they do all that, but I know they're looking for the phone. I think they did confirm the number was from one of the phones that a lot of people will buy and dispose of. So I
Yes, sir. It's called a burner phone. You know what it's called. Go ahead and say it with me. Burner phone. Very good
don't
job.
I don't know where the phone came from. I don't know if they can trace where that phone originated, where it was purchased, anything like that. All I know is for the moment, to my knowledge, they don't have the phone or confirmation who the number goes to.
And again, this is a story that people
You have to remember this has only been a month, 4 weeks, 6 weeks ago. So there's probably not much research done um enough for us to know anything juicy, any juicy information like the code word, if she's pregnant. I don't know why they didn't take a pregnancy test yet. The girl says she's pregnant. You got to do a pregnancy test on her. She needs prenatal care. You already know this.
across the country have been following for weeks. But after the announcement, I guess, during court with that recording saying that someone is pregnant, it made a lot more news. So that's what I kind of want to focus on now. Have you spoken with McCommon? Is she pregnant?
Well, I can't confirm or deny any of that at this moment. I know basically what you know, what you guys
I'm going to start saying that. I cannot confirm or deny. Sorry, sir. I cannot do it.
had heard from the hearing. To my knowledge, there's no medical evidence right now that she is or isn't pregnant. That's yet to be seen. I will say that I started the hearing off, and this has not gotten a lot of coverage. I requested a continuance based on a motion I filed for a mental evaluation of Miss McCommon. And my position on that was there had been some statements made to me that gave me pause on my ability to represent her. Part of what, as a defense lawyer, I have to be comfortable with is that the information I'm getting from my client is accurate and reliable, and they understand everything. And I mean, anyone, again, not to make light of the allegations, but anyone in this position, guilty or innocent, is going to be under tremendous mental pressure. And I just felt that there was no reason to push a hearing.
I'm sure the victims and the victims' parents aren't under any mental stress. None at all. They've just gone through a very traumatic incident. No mental stress at all. Miss McCommon is the victim, right? Gotcha.
Forward when I was agreeing to postpone the hearing and allow her to stay in jail, no risk to anyone, just to do the mental evaluation.
Was she back in jail, buddy? You started that evaluation yet? Come on now, what you waiting for?
So we could then check that box to see, some outside entity could tell us what her current state is, if she understood everything.
Check yes or no.
And the judge did grant my motion for the mental evaluation, which is probably going to happen this week, and then denied the continuance motion. The next hearing, the judge said, is supposed to be the preliminary hearing on all the allegations, but the judge did say that 10 more she would check with the lawyers to see if we've gotten the results of the mental evaluation. I anticipate if we have not gotten those results, the judge will probably continue that preliminary hearing.
That's definitely something that we'll follow up on here, whether those results are made public, if the hearing is postponed, things like that. So that is definitely good to know. But if we zero in on
We already know we ain't hearing nothing till trial. Nothing. That little one girl makes me think that he is just an evil liar. Ugh.
McCommon's rather alleged interactions here with her former students. This is where it all began. Before she was arrested the second time, before this pregnancy bombshell, with these alleged interactions with her former students. So does she deny contacting her students at all?
Well, she hasn't done either at the moment. I mean, as I stated, the state is the only one.
She cannot confirm or deny that she did that. She just confirmed it when she first got arrested. And now she wants to deny. Oh, come on, Miss McCommon. Stay your ass in jail. I hope you enjoyed the free world because you ain't seeing it again. Too bad. Does Tennessee have the death penalty? I'll have to look it up.
One that's put any proof on, and we're not at a point yet where we put on any even defenses, honestly, other than just state her position, which is she says she's not guilty of the offenses. So I only know what you know, and I can't confirm or deny whether she had contact with them. I will say this: this is something that I thought was interesting, but nobody else is covering. My child was her student. My youngest son was in her class in 5th grade, and she was a great teacher. We had no problems with her. We've even been friends with her and her husband for a long time. I was a deputy here in.
Hey now, watch out, girl. Tennessee got the death. Look what you done. Your ass gonna get beat in prison anyhow. Boy, boy, I can't wait. Oh yes, especially if you're pregnant for ho ho, baby.
Tipton County, and so was he. And we were deputies together. And so we were very friendly. And that's kind of how they knew me. So, I mean, I've known her for.
Oh my God, you know, mm-mm-mm. They've been knowing each other for a long while. Mr. Attorney, you charging her what? How's she paying you, sir?
For a while, and saying that doesn't mean that she's innocent, obviously. And I hope it doesn't mean that I have any bias towards her, because I'm going to do my job regardless. But I have known them, and they were not. Just on
They
a
were
personal
wonderful
note, she
people.
never
She
struck
would
me as
never
anyone that would
do
do
this.
anything
No
like
way,
this.
Jose.
So, we'll just have to see what the
Never,
proof holds
ever,
out on all that.
ever.
That is an interesting fact that you said that your son was actually in her class. So did you see any red flags? Would
Oh,
you at
wow.
this point be uncomfortable if your son happened to
No
be
way,
alone with her?
Jose. She's a
Well,
perfect
I mean, it's
woman.
very likely he could have been alone in a room with her. I'm not sure. I did ask him how his relationship was with her then and now, and he's very complimentary of her. Says nothing awkward or weird ever happened. She's a good teacher. She's not contacted him since then. He's
I
18
guess not.
now,
Your
but he is a
dad's a
senior in high
freaking.
school.
His dad's
But
a
he would have
lawyer.
been,
What you
12,
think?
13 at the time in her in elementary school. And I did ask him if he's in the same school where the alleged victim is, and I asked him what what kids are going to talk, and so what are they saying? Are there other kids saying anything? And he said that he knew of no one that was saying anything other than she had been a good teacher with them. But like I also said, I know that people do different things behind closed doors, so I'm not trying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is not okay to talk to a 12-year-old about this case going on. Really?
To be blind to anything that my client may or may not have done. Again, I just focus on what proof has been presented. And in my opinion, we just got limited proof right now that any of this allegations occurred.
If we're looking at the timeline of this case so far, in early September was McCommon's first arrest. What was her reaction at that point when those initial charges of rape were brought on?
Oh, she was shocked. Her and her husband both were just, they acted shocked about the whole incident. She had been a teacher for years and taught hundreds, I would suppose, maybe thousands of students. And, this is the first time something like this came up. So, yeah, she was very surprised.
Very surprised she got caught, maybe. Um, if you go back and watch my previous video of Miss McCommon, It has a lot of information that they're talking about now on there. And it also has the part where she told the police that she did talk to them on the game. She did text them. She did have sexual relations with at least one 12-year-old. Now, what, ma'am? Oh, yeah, you're innocent. I forgot. Thanks for reminding me.
So then if we're moving forward to her second arrest just a couple weeks ago in late September, she had been out on bond after that first arrest, but then is arrested again. And prosecutors are saying this is because she directly violated bond and contacted one of the alleged victims. I guess, what do you have to say about that half of things?
Yeah, well, so it was a bond condition, and so if it's proven that she did try to contact an alleged victim, then yeah, that's a violation of the bond conditions and probably fulfills some of the criteria for the offense. But again, my position is there's just limited evidence that she did. I mean, there's two sides to that too. So if she didn't, obviously, then she's not guilty of these new offenses. But if she did, I mean, that gives me pause, on the mental state, because she got very lucky. We were able to get her a very reasonable bond considering the charge. And honestly, I believe the prosecutor and
She did get very lucky with a $25,000 bond. Just come up with $3,000 to get out till trial. And nope, not at all. You just couldn't do it, huh? You just couldn't do it. You had to contact the victim and threaten.
we were very surprised by the initial bond. It was very low. And I think there were other factors that played into why the
How you feel about it now?
first judge set such a low bond. In any event, she was kind of lucky that she had that bond. So I would be shocked if someone got out on such a low bond and had the opportunity to remain free. And honestly, it would have probably been through spring. The way that most of these cases in Tennessee, especially Tipping County, the way most of them work, they don't do this where they arrest them in general sessions court. They don't arrest them and then they come in and they have a prelim. And part of the reason for that is, like, for instance, the preliminary hearing, they're probably going to have to put a victim on. Well, if a victim has really been victimized, why would you re-victimize them multiple times and have them testify? And so if you arrest the person and put them in
The preliminary hearing is to see if there's enough evidence the state has to prosecute. If they have to put a 12-year-old up on the stand, they're going to put a 12-year-old up on the stand. It's not the first time this has ever happened.
through sessions court, there's a prelim that as a decent lawyer, I'm not going to waive the prelim. So they know that this juvenile or juveniles, whoever it is going to have to testify. So then the problem becomes it moves to circuit court in Tennessee, which is our trial court. And at that court, there could be a trial where, again, they may have to testify.
You know they're going to have to testify. You want to cross-examine this witness. Man, come on.
So we were aware something was coming beforehand. They had contacted her. She knew that they were talking to her about it. That's why they came and talked to us. So I immediately reached out to the detectives and the district attorney to let them know that a direct correspondence to me. And everybody sort of had an understanding that this would go through a circuit in a way to protect alleged victims, because it's possible once you get to circuit court and the prosecutor gives me, we do discovery, we have motions practice, all these things in circuit. We start to see what evidence is or isn't there. Well, if it's just insurmountable evidence, there might have been some form of negotiated plea. And again, the juveniles may have never had to testify. So we were all very surprised when the Covington Police Department decided to go ahead.
He's counting on a
and arrest her anyway. And I do feel at the time it was probably prompted by all this media attention on the case. Instead of doing it the normal way that we would do it.
If your client wasn't a sick, evil monster, teacher, 12-year-old, yeah, it wouldn't be worldwide. But guess what, buddy? It is. And now you're worldwide, and we're going to scrutinize every single thing you do.
However, if they did that and then she gets out on bond and did do any of these allegations on bond, well, it could have been correct, but that is all yet to be seen.
Uh-huh. I don't know when you did this interview, sir. It was posted today, but she did do all those things you just spoke of.
That's the thing is right now she's being crucified by the court of public opinion, and even I don't know what the proof's going to show.
Now, people, we already know she's innocent until proven guilty in the court of law in this country. Although we don't act like it.
So you mentioned the relatively low bond the first time, $25,000, saying that you and others were shocked by it. But now she's being held without bond. Do you think that that is the appropriate response?
Of course not. Because her lawyer wants her out. Of course no bond is good enough.
I mean, if she did violate bond terms, I could see that being the appropriate response. But I felt like in the bond revocation hearing, the proof was very limited that she did. I was very surprised. I thought
that was a voicemail. That was a text message. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was her. You just keep reaching, buddy. Come on, keep reaching.
the judge was probably going to set, because again, the optics on the case do affect it. These judges and prosecutors, and I suppose myself included, realize there's a lot of eyes on the case, and it won't necessarily change what you would or wouldn't do, but you're very aware of what the public is seeing and thinking. And so what I thought would happen is that she would probably get a really high bond, $500,000 or something like that, which would be high for this area.
I wonder if she could afford a $500,000 bond if she was to be given one.
And then, I'd already talked to her family. They're not wealthy people, so it's very unlikely that she would have gotten out. But the judge just felt that the text messages and the phone call was sufficient.
It's not very likely she's getting it now. No way.
To meet the burden required to revoke the bond. And that's what the judge decided to do.
I wanted to touch on a couple of things you just brought up. You mentioned McCommon saying that she had been crucified in the court of public media, talking about how this is a case that's been covered, coast to coast across the nation. So I'm wondering, why are you speaking out now?
No. Ponds across ponds across ponds. Oceans too. The whole world. Yep. Planet Earth.
Is McCommon's reaction to all this publicity?
Yeah, well, just to be clear, she didn't say that. I did. So, and, as a defense lawyer, we typically, everybody's different, but we typically don't speak out on this kind of stuff. But this case has gotten so much media attention, social media attention. There was a site that was literally devoted to, and I was misquoted in one interview. I made the comment that it was basically a witch hunt now, and I wasn't referring to McCommon. I was referring to how the public is just crucifying anybody.
Come on now, sir. This ain't your first rodeo. Come on now. We go through and scrutinize high-profile cases. Well, since your client is a teacher who essayed her student at 12 years old, yeah. Say.
Even associated with her, like other teachers, coaches, the lawyers, the nobody was safe. The DA's office, the detectives, like everybody, it's just crazy. It's largely based on ignorance. But the problem we have on our end is, you may eventually, you always prep a case like you're going to trial. And if I'm going to trial on a,
but if this lawyer tries to blame these 12-year-old boys. Yeah, it's that curl in the front, I'm telling you.
Case like this, one, I have to attempt to get an alternative narrative out there. I have to attempt to let the public say,
Wonder if he twirls that little piece of hair with his finger in the morning.
Oh, wait, our Constitution guarantees her a defense no matter what. And the state has to be held to the burden to prove that she did any of this, which has not happened yet. So I don't want jurors on there that have seen all this stuff and, are so biased against her that there's just no way she can get a fair
No, 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 no. Don't try it. Don't try it at all.
trial. So we track everything. We have a paralegal specific.
Hey, Mr. Lawyer. Hey. I know you watching. I know your paralegal's watching. Hey, y'all.
Assigned to track all the media attention, all the social media interactions, and we file all that stuff because I feel very likely there's probably going to be a motion to change venue in this. But then the question is, where do you change venue in a case like
Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, Brian Koberger, Letitia Stout, Leilani Simon, multiple other victims that have had monster parents hurt them, or just children being hurt. About them. Do you think your client's the only one, sir? It ain't gonna work. But you could try. Keep on reaching, sir. You got them go-go gadget arms. Keep on reaching.
like this? So, but that's sort of why we are open to speaking, at least limited what I can speak to, because it's just important for people to realize whether she's guilty or innocent.
He wants people to stop talking about her and him in this case, but yeah, he's gonna sit here and update us. Come.
These are heinous crimes. I mean, obviously, this is terrible, and I would hate for anyone to be a victim of something like this. And I don't like folks that have done this kind of stuff. I'm human too, right? However, my job is to protect her rights.
Is to be a liar and say she didn't do this because that's your frame.
Rights, period. And it's constitutionally guaranteed whether she did or didn't do this. Right now, she maintains her innocence. Right now, she is innocent. As she sits right now, she's innocent. And so the state has the burden to prove she's guilty. So until she does that, right now, I know the prosecutors are speaking some, the detectives and the police chief are speaking. So
Well, yeah, that's what tends to happen in the beginning of an investigation. Come on now. You're a lawyer, for F's sake.
just need to make sure that the public at least hears that alternative narrative.
No, you yourself just mentioned it. These are some pretty serious accusations, not just rape, but then we also have coercion of a witness, all against a 12-year-old, a boy, a student. So I've spoken to
Ding, 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 ding. Let's see what old Curl got to say about this.
multiple experts about this case throughout multiple different news stories I've done. Many of them say the prosecution has a very strong case against McCommon. So how do you, the defense, plan to combat that?
Let's hear what old Curl got to say about this. I'm going to call him Curly because he's got that one little curl.
Well, that's interesting because none of us have seen all of the evidence. I mean, literally all we have right now is an allegation from an unproven witness that has not testified. I don't even know who that is. So like in Tennessee in Sessions Court,
You act like y'all about to go to trial and you don't know nothing about this case. Dude, it just started. Investigation is happening. They have to get all their information to prove your client guilty. There's no prelim hearing yet. You're still trying to get her out on a bond. Won't happen.
I'm not entitled to discovery evidence. So it's interesting that experts think that it's just a nailed case when I don't even have all the proof. That's scary to me that people think that, oh, it's insurmountable when we don't see the evidence yet. So that's yet to be seen. Now, I mean, there's obviously some things that could come out that would significantly.
Look at that beautiful mugshot. Look at that. Ain't she just the bestest ever looking woman in the world.
change the case and change the landscape of if there's a defense. But we deal with a lot of cases that are he said, she said. Another thing you just mentioned. So the allegation is initially a rape of a child, which is an A felony, and the allegation is some obviously inappropriate occurrence happened when the child was 12.
All she could do is she's pregnant, and it's his. Guilty. Them go gadget arms can't reach no more.
Well, my understanding is that was years ago. So the second follow up allegations of the coercion of a witness and harassment and all that, that's on an older. I want to say the allegation is against a 15-year-old who potentially could have been the alleged 12-year-old. I don't even know that. I don't
Are you kidding? 15, 12, minor. Are you kidding?
know the names of the alleged victims. I don't
You
know
will
anything
know them
about
soon.
them other than what you do. So again, I would ask that everyone, experts included, reserve judgment until we actually see what the proof is. And
Nope.
it could go either way. I don't know. We'll see.
Sorry, it
But
won't
no, my
happen.
position is all we've had presented in proof is an affidavit that is unproven. We don't have a witness. We don't know who the alleged victim is. We don't have a statement from the
It's a
alleged victim.
minor.
I don't even have a written statement
It's
yet
going to
from
be
the alleged victim
redacted
to
from
look
our
at.
court
And
documents.
then
But
all
you
they
won't
presented
know,
in that bond
sir.
revocation hearing was text messages from an unregistered number um, without the phone. They don't know where the phone is. And then a phone call that is claimed to be Miss McCommon, but the only
I'm sure she done put that phone in the landfill somewhere smushed.
proof that was her was it heard her one time weeks ago. It's just not as strong as people are saying that it is. Now, it might grow and become super strong. I don't know. But I just wish people would be patient because the system
Nope.
is set up for a reason. The state has the
How can
burden
we
to
be
prove it.
patient for a
And
teacher?
until and unless they do that, she's innocent right now.
This is definitely a case that we're going to want to continue to follow as more developments come. I mean, you mentioned we're still in the early stages here. So, Jerry, we really do appreciate you taking the time to give us Alissa McCommon's side of things.
Well, please let me know what you think about this in the comments because, yeah, I don't like this attorney. But what defense attorney do we actually like? Thanks for watching, guys. Please hit that thumbs up and comment below for me.